Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me just thank you all for being with us this afternoon. Our First Lady, Marty Kemp, and I are proud to be with so many great partners on both the state and local level who help to keep our fellow Georgians and communities safe. We're always humbled to be in the presence of these brave men and women in uniform who protect and serve us every single day. I specifically want to thank Attorney General Chris Carr and Carr for being here with us today. And I want to thank both of your hard-working teams, not only for making today possible, but also for working so hard to bring violent criminals to justice. I also want to thank GBI Director Mike Register, Commissioner Tim Ward, Colonel Wright of the Department of Public Safety, Terry Norris, who joins us from the Georgia Sheriff's Association, and Butch Ayers of the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police for being with us this afternoon. We're honored to have so many members of the General Assembly who have been incredible partners in supporting and empowering our law enforcement with us today as well. I especially want to thank Majority Leader John Burns and recognize Representative Chuck F. Strachan and Senator John Kennedy, who sponsored the legislation that made this announcement possible. And that wouldn't have been the case. We just appreciate their leadership on House Bill 1134, which created the Gang Prosecution Unit in the Attorney General's office. But most of all, I want to thank the men and women in uniform behind us, brave Georgians who frequently put their lives on the line to protect the people and the communities of our state. Let's all thank them for their service. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm going to continue to stand with our men and women in law enforcement. We are so grateful for what you do each and every day, and we're grateful to the support that you get from your families and from the state. Today we are celebrating these men and women because of their success in bringing the fight to gangs in our state. When I first ran for governor, even when others wouldn't listen or ridiculed us for doing so, I was talking about this issue because I was listening to local law enforcement and the district attorneys around the state who are on the front lines of this fight. That's why early in my administration we created the Gang Task Force under the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They've had great success, including in the cases that the Attorney General Carr will discuss shortly. In fact, this past year alone, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation investigated 446 gang-related cases across 100 Georgia counties and charged more than 170 gang members. We're also proud of the work underway by our multi-agency crime suppression unit, led by Director Colonel Chris Wright of the Department of Public Safety. Every weekend, we're taking out more criminals off the street and making our communities across this state safer. Earlier this year, we added yet another asset to this ongoing fight against crime, and that is the Gang Prosecution Unit under the capable leadership of Attorney General Chris Carr, and allocated $1.3 million in the budget to stand it up. That unit is modeled after the overwhelmingly successful Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit, which was championed by the best First Lady in the nation, Marty Kemp. Thank you. I'm proud to report that in a short time since the Gang Prosecution Unit has been operational, they have already charged close to 50 gang members and related criminals. That's what I call producing results. I hope you all will help me thank Attorney General Carr, Ms. Convery, and their hard-working teams for this extraordinary effort. But make no mistake, this would not have been possible without the support of the Georgia General Assembly, not just in passing HB 1134, but also through funding this unit through the budget. So again, I want to thank the legislators who are with me today and those that supported this legislation and this budget item for being in the fight with us. Thank you all so much. But rest assured, this isn't the finish line. We're going to keep on fighting, and we're going to keep on bringing criminals to justice in our state. And we will continue to work hard to make our communities safe, because no Georgian should be living in fear. I want to let you know that this particular criminal that we're talking about today has been actively recruiting new members to their gangs, targeting elementary school-age children. Elementary school-age children. The bad guys are literally coming after our kids. That is unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable to Marty. It's unacceptable to Chris Carr. And it's unacceptable to all of us here today and many who are not. And that's why this coming session, my administration will introduce legislation to increase penalties for those trying to recruit our children into a life of evil. So I'll close again by thanking all of you who have joined us on the stairs for what you do and your respective agencies are doing to fight crime in our state. May God bless you, may He keep you safe, and may He continue to bless this great state of Georgia that we call home. And with that, I'll now turn it over to a great partner and a friend in all of these efforts, our Attorney General, Chris Carr. Chris?
Thank you, Governor. I truly cannot thank you enough for your valued partnership and for your resounding commitment to protecting our fellow Georgians. Since even before taking office as governor, Brian Kemp promised to fight back against criminal street gangs and other criminals, and he has delivered on that promise over and over again. Together, our governor and First Lady have made Georgia a safer place to call home, and we are grateful for their strong and conservative leadership. I also want to thank all of our law enforcement partners who are with us today for their service, selflessness, and commitment to duty. I've been Attorney General for 6 years now, and I want to say one of the great honors that I have is to support our men and women in law enforcement who each and every day leave their homes and their families to uphold the rule of law and to keep our communities safe. It's a dangerous world, and the only way we defend our rights, defend our state, and defend our communities is if there are people like you who are willing to put on that uniform each day. Your job's not easy, and you represent the very best of your communities. These members of law enforcement in particular are taking a strong and aggressive stance in the fight against violent crime and gang activity, and we are proud to work alongside them to ensure that these criminals are aggressively prosecuted and put behind bars. With our new gang prosecution unit, we are serving as a force multiplier by working hand in hand with those who are on the ground and in our communities. Together, we are already producing incredible results. In less than a month, we've obtained 11 indictments charging 46 alleged gang members with a range of crimes that span 13 counties around the state. An amazing statistic considering that this unit did not even exist before July 1st of this year. So I hope you will all join me in also recognizing Chief Prosecutor Kara Convery and our entire gang prosecution unit for all that they have done and continue to do each day. But these results are made possible by our strong partnerships with state and local law enforcement who want to ensure that the cases that they investigate are pursued vigorously in court. I want to specifically commend our partners who've worked with us on each of these cases so far. GBI Director Mike Register and the Gang Task Force, Commissioner Timothy Ward in the Georgia Department of Corrections, Sheriff Judd Smith in the Barrow County Sheriff's Office, Chief Mike Pursley of the Albany Police Department, Chief Jerry Salters in the Athens-Clarke County Police Department, Chief Daniel Silk in the University of Georgia Campus Police Department, Chief Stuart Van Hooser in the Cobb County Police Department, Chief Marty Farrell in the Marietta Police Department, Chief Freddie Blackman in the Columbus Police Department, Sheriff Greg Countryman in the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Gary Gullidge in the Paulding County Sheriff's Office. We are proud to be in this fight with you, and we will always support our men and women in uniform. Criminal gangs are operating in every corner of our state, whether they're neighborhood, hybrid, transnational, or nationally affiliated criminal street gangs. We are seeing evidence of these groups all across Georgia. This rise in criminal gang activity is not only a public safety issue, it's a quality of life issue for families and communities, and it is a real threat to our continued economic growth. What concerns me most is who is terrorized most often by these gangs. It's lower income, racially diverse, and immigrant populations. I firmly believe that every single Georgian, no matter where they live, from southwest Georgia to southwest Atlanta, Buckhead to Blairsville, deserves to feel safe, deserves to be safe. The Georgia Constitution says it's the paramount duty of government to protect person and property, and that is exactly what we are doing here today. I'm proud to announce that our gang prosecution unit has indicted 17 alleged members of the 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods in Barrow County. This indictment, following a large-scale investigation known as Operation Dawnfall, was conducted by GBI's Gang Task Force and the Georgia Department of Corrections Office of Professional Standards Investigative Division and Security Threat Group Unit. The 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods is a set of the larger criminal street gang known as the Bloods and is based out of New York, specifically the Bronx. These 17 defendants are alleged to have engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity for the common purpose of illegally obtaining money, weapons, and property for their gang. Our indictment lists 136 underlying acts, which the defendants are alleged to have committed to further their criminal enterprise. Some of these criminal acts include murder, aggravated assault, armed robbery, trafficking in fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana, criminal damage to property in the first degree, and arson. This pattern of criminal activity is alleged to have occurred from January 2019 through October 2022. It is also alleged to have spanned the following 10 Georgia counties: Athens-Clarke, Barrow, Bullock, Candler, Chattooga, Fulton, Gwinnett, Laurens, Monroe, and Walton. Of the 17 defendants who've been indicted, one of the individuals is alleged to be a national leader of the 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods and is currently incarcerated in Attica State Prison in New York. A second defendant is alleged to be a statewide leader of the gang and is currently incarcerated in Hayes State Prison here in Georgia. While incarcerated, these two individuals are alleged to have directed other defendants to engage in criminal activity to further the 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods criminal enterprise. I want to commend the efforts of the Georgia Department of Corrections for bringing this case to the GBI's Gang Task Force. And one of the most egregious elements of this case, as the governor mentioned, relates to the allegations of recruitment. From promoting and hosting block parties to arranging for an ice cream truck to stop by so they could pass out ice cream sandwiches, these defendants are alleged to have engaged in the recruitment of very young children. Gang activity targeting our schools and our children is particularly egregious and must not be tolerated. Unfortunately, the rise of social media has helped to expand the reach and frequency of this illegal activity. Now recruitment is on the rise and the age of the members is trending younger and younger. Recently, we indicted 4 alleged members of a criminal street gang that was founded at a Dougherty County high school and includes members as young as 10 years old. This is entirely unacceptable, and we must put a stop to it. Those who engage in and promote violent actions, Georgia has and we will not hesitate to prosecute. When it comes to fighting crime, Georgians want to know that there is a plan. Georgians want to know that there is a willingness to do what it takes to keep their communities and their families safe. And when they see gangs operating in their cities and counties, Georgians want to know that the cavalry is coming. That is exactly what we are doing with our new gang prosecution unit, and we are proud to be in this fight. And I now turn it over to GBI Director Mike Register.
Good afternoon. The GBI would like to first thank all the members of the law enforcement community who were involved in this investigation and the partnership that made this possible. I also want to thank Governor Kemp and Attorney General Carr for their continued dedication and commitment to ensure the safety of Georgia's citizens by making criminal street gangs a public safety priority. As you have seen, the criminal street gangs are not just a state problem, but a national and at times an international problem that infests the streets of Georgia and creates an unsafe environment for all. Since January of this year, the GBI has initiated almost 300 gang investigations in the state of Georgia. This particular gang is based out of New York, as you've already heard, but its criminal activities have impacted Georgia. In fact, one of the gangs stated that one of their strategies is to spread their influence throughout Georgia. Some of the things you've already heard, but I think it's important that they're reiterated just so you'll understand the danger that gangs like this pose on our communities. They do this by having a strategy of presenting events that look like it's family friendly, such as erecting inflatable jump houses, providing ice cream and vendors. They host basketball tournaments and barbecues. They do these types of things for one purpose: to recruit our young people into a life of crime and violence. We know that this gang has held these types of events recently here in Georgia. Some of the crimes linked to this gang, as you've already heard, but again, just to reiterate, are murder, aggravated assault, weapons trafficking, arson, and fraud. They're very cunning and very violent. This is why law enforcement and the communities we serve must continue to be partners to battle against criminal street gangs such as these. In closing, I'd like to again thank all the agencies involved in this investigation, to include the men and women from the GBI who work tirelessly every day to counter criminal street gangs in this state, and to reaffirm that the GBI's commitment is that criminal street gangs are and will continue to be a priority of our agency. And I'm just so very honored to be here and be part of this, because these events and these types of investigations truly do make the state of Georgia a safer place for all to live. Thank you, and I'll be followed by Commissioner Tim Ward.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Governor Kemp and also Attorney General Chris Carr for their unwavering commitment for their ongoing fight against street gang activity. One of the things I tell my team all the time is that our mission at the Georgia Department of Corrections is non-negotiable. And that non-negotiable mission is to protect and serve the public by running safe and secure facilities. And I'm so proud to be standing here today because of our team at the Office of Professional Standards, especially our Intelligence Division and also our STG coordinators. 74% of my population has a violent offense. As of this morning, we had 14,203 validated gang members in my population. And we talk about force multipliers. My investigative unit is a force multiplier because we have to monitor those individuals 24/7. And you see the end results of something they did today by this prosecution. Their legwork, their diligence, as listening to phone calls and passing that information on to the gang task force. And I'm just so proud of those individuals for what they do each and every day. And you had the commitment from the Georgia Department of Correction, from those courageous men and women out there each and every day. We're going to fight that fight. We're going to stand lock and stock with the governor and AG Carr to make sure we eradicate gang activity in these streets and for the citizens of the state of Georgia. Thank you so much.